Vandeham Shri Guru Shriyuta Kamadam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Chirupam Sagrajatam Sarvanatham Vitam Tam Sajibam Krishna Chaitanya Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganarita Shri Radhan Vitam Shah Kanjana Sharakaya Chakshurumritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. First of all, offer my millions of obeisances to lotus feet of Asmati Guru Pad Padma, Vitala Prishta Jagat Guru Shri Srimad Bhakti-Vidanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, and also offer obeisances to lotus feet of Dandi Sannyasi, Shri Srimad Bhakti-Vidanta Dandi Maharaj, Namnishta Sant Shri Aniruddha Das Prabhuji. All the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, please accept my humble obeisances. So we are discussing Caitanya Caritamrta, and we are going to discuss 2.86, right? Adi Lila, second chapter, 86 verse. Right. Brahma Pramada Vipralipsa Karna Patava Arsha Vigya Vakyenahi Doshai Sava. Brahma. Brahma means mistakes. Pramad means illusion. Vipralipsa means cheating. Karana Apatava, imperfections of the senses. Arsha, of the authoritative sages. Vigyavakya, in the wise speech. Nahi, not. Dosha, faults. These sub all. Mistakes, illusions, cheating, and defective perception do not occur in the sayings of the authoritative sages. Arsha. Arsha means actually this one type of praman. Arsha praman. Whatever the sages have said, that is called Arsha. Arsha Praman. So these defects are not there in the words of the great sages. Srimad Bhagavatam has listed the avatars, the plenary expansions of the Purushas, and Lord Krishna appears among them. But the Bhagavatam further explains Lord Krishna's specific position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. Reason and argument establish that his position is always supreme. Had Krishna been a plenary expansion of Narayan, the original verse would have been differently composed. Indeed, its order would have been reversed. But there cannot be mistakes, illusion, cheating, or imperfect perception in the words of liberated sages. Therefore, there is no mistake in the statement that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Sanskrit statements of Srimad Bhagavatam are all transcendental sounds. Srila Vyasadeva reveals these statements after perfect realization, and therefore they are perfect. For liberated sages like Vyasadeva never commit errors in their rhetorical arrangements. Unless one accepts this fact, there is no use in trying to obtain help from the revealed scriptures. Brahma refers to false knowledge or mistakes, such as accepting a rope as a snake or an oyster shell as gold. Pramad refers to inattention or misunderstanding of reality. Vipralipsa is the cheating propensity. Karana Patav refers to imperfection of the material senses. There are many examples of such imperfection. The eyes cannot see that which is very distant or very small. One cannot even see his own eyelid, which is the closest thing to his eye. If one is disturbed by a disease like jaundice, he sees everything to be yellow. Similarly, the ears cannot hear distant sounds. Since the personality of Godhead and his plenary portions and self-realized devotees are all transcendentally situated, they cannot be misled by such deficiencies. Now text 87. Viruddhartha ka tumi kahite kararosh tumhara avismrta तुम्हारा अविमृष्ट विधेयांश दोष विरुद्ध अर्थ contrary meaning कह say Tumi, you, kahite, pointing out, kara, to, you, do, rosha, anger, tomara, your, arthe, in the meaning, avismrushta, vidheyangsha, of the unconsidered predicate portion, dosha, the fault. You say something contradictory and become angry when this is pointed out. Your explanation has the defect of a misplaced predicate. This is an unconsidered adjustment. Chandra Bhagavatta haite Annira Bhagavatta Swam Bhagavan Shabder Tahate Satta. Chandra, of whom Bhagavatta, the quality of being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, haite, from Annira, of others, Bhagavatta, the quality of being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Swam Bhagavan Shabder, of the word Swam Bhagavan, Tahati, that in that Satta, the presence. Only the personality of Godhead, the source of all the divinities, is eligible to be designated Swayam Bhagavan or the primeval Lord. So means Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also Swayam Bhagavan. Understand? Ete chamsha kala pumsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yugi Yugi. Swayam Bhagavan. So, Swayam Bhagavan Shri Krishna is supremely merciful. Shri Gaurasundar, non-different from Shri Krishna, is also supremely merciful. Understand? Shri Nityananda Prabhu is the deity of mercy personified, and Shriman Mahaprabhu's associates, the Sikh Goswamis, are also causelessly merciful. Understand? Param Gurudev is telling this. These things I heard without doubt. I was present in one form or another during that time, but no one bestowed mercy upon me because they knew me to be extremely heinous and sinful. Srila Prabhupada pulled me up by my hair. I am such a fallen wretch, such a great materialist with an uncontrolled nature that he has made me a dust particle at his lotus feet. He who, due to his causeless mercy, is even more exalted than the Lord himself, has today made me his own. In his speech, Paramaradhya Shri Gurudev described his own family by referring to his relationship with Jagat Pita Shri Krishna, Sri Sachidanand Gaurahari, the Akhanda Guru Tattva Shri Nityananda Prabhu, who is non-different from Baldev Prabhu, and their dearmost associate. Jagat Guru Srila Bhakti-Vidanta Saraswati Prabhupada, nevertheless, did he mention his material family lineage? So you'll see that Krishna is very merciful, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very merciful, but our Gurudev saved us, so we should always be grateful to Gurudev. So here, Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. Ete chamsha kala pumsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This should be very, very clear that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So actually, Param Gurudev also tells, thus according to Vedic Shastras, there are two Sanatan Tattvas, eternal principles. One is Swayam Bhagavan Shri Krishna, the undivided, complete Sanatan Tattva, and the other is Jiva, the divided Anu Sanatan Tattva. Understand? So, Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Maharaj is telling that Krishna is the Swayam Bhagavan, primeval Lord. दीप आते जैसे बहुत दीपे रज्वलान मूलय का दीपता करिए गणन. Deep, a lamp, haite, from, jaiche, just as, bahu, many, deeper of lamps, jwalana, lighting, mula of the original, eka, one, deep, a lamp, tatha, that, kariye, I make, ganana, consideration. When from one candle many others are lit, I consider that one the original. The Brahma Samhita chapter 5 verse 46 states that the Vishnu Tattva, or the principle of the absolute personality of Godhead, is like a lamp because the expansions equal to their origin in all respects. A burning lamp can light innumerable other lamps. Although they will not be inferior, still the lamp from which the others are lit must be considered the original. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead expands himself in the plenary forms of the Vishnu Tattva, and although they are equally powerful, The original personality of God is considered the source. This example also explains the appearance of qualitative incarnations like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, Shambhostu Tamo Adhishthanatvat Kajjalamaya Sukshma Deepashikha Sthaniyasya Na Tatha Samyam. The Shambhu Tattva or the principle of Lord Shiva is like a lamp covered with carbon because of his being in charge of the mode of ignorance. The illumination from such a lamp is very minute. Therefore, the power of Lord Shiva cannot compare to that of the Vishnu principles. Text 19. तैछे सब अवतारेर कृष्ण से कारण आरे श्लोक सुना कुव्याख्या खंडन. तैछे, in a similar way, sab all avatarer of the incarnations, Krishna, Lord Krishna, say, hey, he, Karana, the cause, Ara, another, Eka, one, Shloka, verse, Shuna, please hear, Kuvekha, fallacious explanations, Khandana, refuting. Krishna, in the same way, is the cause of all causes and all incarnations. Please hear another verse to defeat all misinterpretations. Atta sargo visargasya sthanam poshanam utaya manvantaresha katha nirodho muktirashraya dashamasya vishuddhartham नवानाम इह लक्षणम वर्णयन्ति महात्माना श्रुतेनार्थेन चांजसा. Atra, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sarga, the creation of the ingredients of the universe, Visarga, the creations of Brahma, Cha and Sthanam, the maintenance of creations, portion of the favoring of the Lord's devotees, Utaya, the impetuses for activity, Manu prescribed duties given by the Manus, Isha Anugraha, a description of the incarnations of the Lord, Nirodha, the winding up of the creations, Nirodha, the winding up of the creations, Mukti, liberation, Ashraya, the ultimate shelter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Dashamasya, of the 10th Ashraya, Vishuddhartham, for the purpose of perfect knowledge, Navanam, of the 9, Iha, here, Lakshanam, the nature, Varnayanti, describe, Mahatmana, the great souls, Shrutena by prayer, Arthena by explanations, Cha and Anjasa direct. Here in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10 subjects are described. The creation of the ingredients of the cosmos, the creation of Brahma, the maintenance of the creation, special favor given to the faithful, impetuses for activity, prescribed duties for law-abiding men, a description of the incarnation of the Lord, the winding up of the creation, 9, liberation from gross and subtle material existence, and the ultimate shelter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The 10th item is the shelter of all the others. To distinguish this ultimate shelter from the other 9 subjects, the Mahajans have described these 9 directly or indirectly through prayers or direct explanations. These verses from Srimad Bhagavatam list the 10 subject matters dealt with in the text of the Bhagavatam. Of these, the 10th is the substance, and the other 9 are categories derived from the substance. These 10 subjects are as follows. Sarga, the first creation by Vishnu, the bringing forth of the 5 gross elements, the 5 objects of sense perception, the 10 senses, the mind, the intelligence, the false ego, and the total material energy or universal form. Visarga, the secondary creation or the work of Brahma in producing the moving and non-moving, moving and unmoving bodies in the universe, Brahmanda. Sthana, number 3, Sthana, the maintenance of the universe by the personality of God in Vishnu. Vishnu's function is more important and his glory greater than Brahma's and Lord Shiva's. For although Brahma is the creator and Lord Shiva is the destroyer, Vishnu is the maintainer. Poshana, the special care and protection for devotees by the Lord. As a king maintains his kingdom and subjects, but nevertheless gives special attention to the members of his family, so the personality of Godhead gives special care to his devotees who are souls completely surrendered to him. Uti, the urge for creation or initiative power. That is the cause of all inventions according to the necessities of time, space, and objects. Manvantar Avatar. Manvantar. The periods controlled by the Manus who teach regulative principles for living beings who desire to achieve perfection in human life. The rules of Manu, as described in the Manu Samhita, guide the way to such perfection. Ishanu Katha, scriptural information regarding the personality of Godhead, his incarnations on earth, and the activities of his devotees. Scriptures dealing with these subjects are essential for progressive life. Nirodha, the winding up of all energies employed in creation. Such potencies are emanations from the personality of Godhead who eternally lies in the Karana ocean. The cosmic creations manifested with his breath are again dissolved in due course. Mukti, liberation of the conditioned souls encased by the gross and subtle coverings of body and mind. When freed from all material affection, the soul giving up the gross and subtle material bodies can attain the spiritual sky in his original spiritual body and engage in transcendental loving service to the Lord in Vaikuntha Loka or Krishna Loka. When the soul is situated in his original constitutional position of existence, he is said to be liberated. It is possible to engage in transcendental loving service to Lord and become a Jiva Mukta, a liberated soul, even while in a material body. Ashraya, the transcendence, the summum bonum, from whom everything emanates, upon whom everything rests, and in whom everything merges after annihilation. He is the source and support of all. Ashraya is also called the Supreme Brahman, and in the Vedanta Sutra, Athato Brahma Jigyasa, Janmadasya Yata, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1. Srimad Bhagavatam especially describes this Supreme Brahman as the Ashraya. Shri Krishna is this Ashraya. And therefore, the greatest necessity of life is to study the science of Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam accepts Sri Krishna as the shelter of all manifestations, because Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the ultimate source of everything, the supreme goal of all. Two different principles are to be considered herein, namely Ashraya, the object providing shelter, and Ashrita, the dependent requiring shelter. The Ashrita exists under the original principle, the Ashraya. The first 9 categories described in the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, from creation to liberation, including the Purusha avatars, the incarnations, the marginal energy or living entities, and the eternal and the external energy or material world, are all Ashrita. The prayers of Srimad Bhagavatam, however, aim for Ashraya Tattva, the Supreme Personality of God is Shri Krishna. The great souls expert in describing Srimad Bhagavatam have very diligently delineated the other 9 categories, sometimes by direct narrations and sometimes by indirect narrations, such as stories. The real purpose of doing this is to know perfectly the absolute transcendence Sri Krishna for the entire creation, both material and spiritual, rest on the body of Sri Krishna. आश्रय जानिते कोही ए नव पदार्थ ए नवेर उत्पत्ति हेतु से आश्रयार्थ. Ashraya, the ultimate shelter. Janite, to know. Kahi, I discuss. A, these. Nava, 9. Padartha, categories. E, these. Navera, of the 9. Utpatti, of the origin. Hetu, cause. Say, that. Ashraya, of the shelter. Artha, the meaning. Translation. To know distinctly the ultimate shelter of everything that be, I described the other 9 categories. The cause for the appearance of these 9 is rightly called their shelter. Text 94. Krishna eka sarvashraya, Krishna sarvadham, Krishnera sharire sarva, Vishwera vishram. Krishna, Lord Krishna, eka, one, sarvashraya, shelter of all. Krishna, Lord Krishna, sarvadham, the abode of all. Krishnera, of Lord Krishna, Sharire in the body, Sarva Vishwera of all the universes, Vishram, resting place. The translation. The personality of God is Shri Krishna is the shelter and abode of everything. All the universes rest in his body. Dashame dashamam laksham ashritashraya vigraham Shri Krishna khyam param dhama jagadhama namamita. Dashame in the 10th canto, Dashamam, the 10th subject matter, Laksham to be seen, Ashrita of the sheltered, Ashraya of the shelter. Vigraham, who is the form, Shri Krishna Akhyam, known as Lord Shri Krishna, Param, supreme, Dhama, abode, Jagat Dhama, the abode of the universes, Namami, for obeisances, that to him. The 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam reveals the 10th subject, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the shelter of all surrendered souls. He is known as Sri Krishna and is the ultimate source of all the universes. Let me offer my obeisances unto him. Perpetuum. This quotation comes from Sridhar Swami's commentary on the first verse of the 10th canto, canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam. So basically, Krishna is the Ashray, Ashray and Ashrit. So we are all Ashrit, and Krishna is our Ashray. So we are all Das of Krishna, understand? We are all servants of Krishna, and we depend on his shoulder, on his shelter. Krishnera Swarupara Shakti Trahe Chandra Hare Tandra Nahi Krishna Te Agyan. Krishna of Lord Krishna, Swarupa, the real nature, Ara, Shaktitraya of the three energies, Jnana, knowledge, Chandra, whose. There is Tandra of him, Nahi, there is not, Krishnete in Lord Krishna, Agyan, ignorance. One who knows the real feature of Sri Krishna and his three different energies cannot remain ignorant about him. Srila Jiva Goswami states in his Bhagavad Sandarbha that by his potencies which act in natural sequences beyond the scope of the speculative human mind, the supreme transcendence, the summum bonum, eternally and simultaneously exists in four transcendental features: his personality, his impersonal effulgence, particles of his potency, the living beings, and the principle of all causes. The supreme whole is compared to the sun, which also exists in four features, namely the personality of the sun god, the glare of his glowing spear, the sun rays inside the sun planet, and the sun's reflections in many other objects. The ambition to corroborate the existence of the transcendental absolute truth by limited conjectural endeavors cannot be fulfilled, because he is beyond the scope of our limited speculative minds. In an honest search for truth, we must admit that his powers are inconceivable to our tiny brains. The exploration of space has demanded the work of the greatest scientists of the world, yet there are countless problems regarding even fundamental knowledge of the material creation that bewilder scientists who confront them. Such material knowledge is far removed from the spiritual nature, and therefore the acts and arrangements of the absolute truth are beyond all doubts inconceivable. The primary potencies of the absolute truth are mentioned to be three: internal, external, and marginal. By the acts of his internal potency, the personality of Godhead in his original form exhibits the spiritual cosmic manifestations known as the Vaikuntha Lokas, which exist eternally even after the destruction of the material cosmic manifestation. By his marginal potency, the Lord expands himself as living beings who are part of him, just as the sun distributes its rays in all directions. By his external potency, the Lord manifests the material creation, just as the sun, with its rays, creates fog. The material creation is the material creation is but a perverse reflection of the eternal Vaikuntha nature. These three energies of the absolute truth are also described in the Vishnu Purana, where it is said that the living being is equal in quality to the internal potency, whereas the external potency is indirectly controlled by the chief cause of all causes. Maya, the illusory energy, misleads a living being as fog misleads a pedestrian by blocking off the light of the sun. Although the potency of Maya is inferior in quality to the marginal potency, which consists of the living beings who are part and parcel of the Lord, it nevertheless has the power to control the living beings, just as fog can block the actions of a certain portion of the sun's rays, although it cannot cover the sun. The living beings covered by the illusory energy evolve in different species of life, with bodies ranging from that of an insignificant ant to that of Brahma, the constructor of the cosmos. The Pradhan, the chief cause of all causes in the impersonal vision, is none other than the Supreme Lord, whom one can see face to face in the internal potency. He takes the material all pervasive form by his inconceivable power. Although all three potencies, namely internal, external, and marginal, are essentially one in the ultimate issue, they are different in action, like the electric energy, which can produce both cold and heat under different conditions. The external and marginal potencies are called under various conditions, but in the original internal potency, there are no such conditions. Nor is it possible for the conditions of the external potency to exist in the marginal or vice versa. One who is able to understand the intricacies of all the energies of the Supreme Lord can no longer remain an empiric impersonalist under the influence of a poor fund of knowledge. कृष्णेर स्वरूपेर हय षड धर्म विलास प्राभव वैभव रूपे द्विविध प्रकाश. Krishna of Lord Krishna, Swarupa of the form, Haya, there are Shatvidha, six kinds, Vilas, pastime forms. Prabhava Vaibhava Rupe, in the division of Prarabdha, of Prabhava and Vaibhava. Dvividha, two kinds, Prakash, manifestations. The personality of Godhead Krishna enjoys himself in six primary expansions. His two manifestations are Prabhava and Vaibhava. Now the author of Caitanya Caritamrta turns to describe the personality of Godhead Krishna in his innumerable expansions. Lord primarily expands himself in two categories, namely Prabhu and Vaibhava. The Prabhu forms are fully potent like Shri Krishna, and the Vaibhava forms are partially potent. The Prabhu forms are manifested in relation with potencies, but the Vaibhava forms are manifested in relationship with excellences. The potent Prabhu manifestations are also of two varieties, temporary and eternal. The Moini, Hamsa, and Shukla forms are manifested only temporarily in terms of a particular age. Among the other Prabhavas who are not very famous, according to the material estimations, are Dhanvantari, Rishabh, Vyasa, Dattatreya, and Kapila. Among the Vaibhav Prakash forms are Kurma, Matsya, Narnarayan, Varaha, Hayagriva, Prishnigarba, Baladeva, Yagya, Vibhu, Satyasena, Hari, Vaikuntha, Achita, Vamana, Sarvabhauma, Rishabha, Vishwaksena, Dharma Setu, Sudhama, Yogeshwar, and Bradbhanu. अंश शक्त्यावेश रूपे द्विविधावतार बाल्य पौगंड धर्म द्वैत प्रकार अंश of the plenary expansion, Shakti Avesha of the empowered Rupe in the forms, Divida, two kinds. Avatar, incarnations, Palya, childhood, Pauganda, boyhood, Dharma, the characteristics of age, Dvitu, the certainly Prakara kinds. His incarnations are of two kinds, namely partial and empowered. He empowers in two ages, childhood and boyhood. The Vilas forms are six in number. Incarnations are of two varieties, namely Shaktavisha, avatar, empowered, and Amsha, Amsha, Vesha, Parsha. These incarnations also come within the category of Prabhav and Vaibhav manifestations. Childhood and boyhood are two special features of the personality of Shri Krishna, but his permanent feature is his eternal form as an adolescent youth. The original personality of God, Shri Krishna, is always worshipped in this eternal adolescent form. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. Text 2.99. Next class will continue next Friday. 2.99. It's a very interesting discussion actually. And we must pay attention to this. So thank you so much. If anyone has any comments or questions, please ask me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you so much for that.
Hare Krishna.
So, Ananga Mohan Prabhu, can you please do Jai Diwani? Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharviga Giridhari Radha Vinoda Bihari Ji Ki Jai.
Jai,
Om
Jai,
Vishnu
Jai, Jai.
Tarasata Srimad Bhakti-Vidanta Vishnu Daivata Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Om
Hare
Vishnu
Krishna.
Tarasata Srimad Bhakti-Vidanta Dandi Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai, Jai, Jai.
Lila Pravishta Vishnu Tarasata Srimad Bhakti-Vidanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai,
Lila Pravishta Vishnu Tarasata Srimad Bhakti-Vidanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai, Jai,
Lila Pravishta Vishnu Tarasata Srimad Bhakti-Vidanta Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. Lila Pravishta Vishnu Tarasata Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Lila Pravishta Vishnu Tarasata Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lila Pravishta Param Bhagavat Pravara Shishila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai,
Shishila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Lila Pravishta Vaishnava Sarva Bhoma Shishila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Gaudya Vedantacharya Shishila Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu Ki Jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai. Srila Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Traya Ki Jai. Srila Krishna Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Jeev Gopal Bhatta Saguna Sat Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Swarupa Damodar Raya Ramananda Shri Gaura Prasada Vrinda Ki Jai. Ramachandra Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sako Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Dweep Mayapur Simant Dweep Go Druma Dweep Madhya Dweep Kola Dweep Ritu Dweep Janu Dweep Modra Drum Dweep Rudati Patmakashi Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Krishna Gopa Gopi Go Vardhan Dvadas Vanpakar Shri Vrajmandal Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kun Sham Kun Ganga Yamuna Tulasi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Mati Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai. Shri Gopishvar Mahadev Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra Jiyo Ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandal Ki Jai. Sarva Vigna Vinashikar Shri Narsimadev Ki Jai. Bhakta Pravar Shri Prahalad Maharaj Ki Jai. Char Dham Ki Jai. Char Sampradaya Ki Jai. Char Acharya Ki Jai. Akar Mataraj Chaitanya Mata Ki Jai. Shishi Keshaviti Gaudiya Maputa Sakama Samoha Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Shri Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaura Preman Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Jai Shri Hanuman Prabhu Ki Jai. Samasta Vaishnava Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande.
Sripad Bhakti-Vidanta Vishnu Daivata Maharaj Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranams. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining today. So just one quick announcement. So tomorrow we officially opened Amrita Bindu group for our regular classes. So tomorrow, starting from tomorrow, the code for Google Meet will change so that we can have all Gurudev's and Sripad Bhakti-Vidanta Vishnu Daivata Maharaj's class under one Amrita Bindu Gmail account. So Maharaj, I will send you that account now and password so you can also log in. And if for any reason I'm not available or somebody is not available, then you can always log in and you can be admin for the Google, and you can record on that, Maharaj, because we are paying a monthly subscription for that, for recording classes. So that's why we said instead of having it on our personal emails, we'll just open Amrita Bindu group under Gurudev's group page and we will share to you the email and password. And you can always use that Zoom platform for any classes that you also would like, Maharaj. So please do take advantage of it.
Oh, sure.
And you can, like I said, you can record on it and it'll come to that email. Excuse me. And if you need help with the videos and stuff, then Jugala from Boston will surely help you because she helps me. So anytime, Maharaj, even with your Hindi classes, you can use the Amrita Bindu email from tomorrow and record, and you can send me the video if you want it to be uploaded on YouTube. So, and on Facebook, Gurudev's Facebook, and we get more devotees like that. Because for now, I'm just doing the English side of it. I'm trying in Bangalore to get Damodar Prabhu to get somebody to help him with other languages, but it's difficult. So, Maharaj, if you feel like you want to do a class on or something, you can surely use that, and then we can take those videos and upload it and get more subscribers to come on with different languages. So please, Maharaj, give us your blessing, and we pray that this all goes well. So thank you.
No, this is important. Actually, a lot of devotees, they're joining actually, from all over the world actually, they're listening. So this is a very good seva. Srila Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada and all our Guru Varga Gurudev will all be very pleased. Because when Srila Gurudev was on the planet, I remember that Srila Gurudev used to tell Brajanath Prabhu that whatever lecture I speak, they should be transcribed and immediately be sent to all the devotees all over the world through a website, vnn.org. Gurudev used to call it like my CNN. And in this way, Srila Gurudev, he was always encouraging devotees to send his Harikatha to everyone. So we are also discussing Harikatha only. Like Srila Gurudev, one he spoke actually, you'll see that Baladev Tattva. And Srila Gurudev always spoke good Siddhanta always, and he encouraged everyone to understand Siddhanta. Siddhanta boliya chitte na karalasa. Yaha iti Krishna lagi sudruda manasa. We should not be lazy in understanding the Siddhanta. A sincere student should not neglect a discussion of such conclusions, considering them controversial. For such discussions strengthen the mind. Thus one's mind becomes attached to Sri Krishna. This is the purpose. That's why this Siddhanta. So Gurudev is telling that one's mind will become very firmly fixed in surrender to Sri Krishna and serving to him if one studies Siddhanta. So one should not be lazy to try to understand it. If one is only chanting the holy name and remembering Krishna's Ashtakali lila 24 hours a day, what will happen? He will fall down. Padmanabh Maharaj. This is in relation to the stage in which one hasn't come to the proper qualification for that. But when one comes to the proper qualification, then there is no need to study so much Siddhanta. Padmanabh Maharaj is studying. Srila Gurudev is telling, without this, how will he come to that qualification? You should know all the truths. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and all our disciplic succession included these in their literatures. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu defeated Sarvam Bhattacharya and Srila Jiva Goswami defeated so many. Srila Rupa Goswami knew all these truths, but he left it for his disciples to explain, and he did only that. So one devotee is telling Sri Jiva Goswami studied under Madhusudan Saraswati, who is the disciple of Sarma Bhattacharya, who heard from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Also we read that Bhakti-Vidanta Saraswati Thakur had tutors come from the Ramanujan Madhu Sampradayas, and he used to train his sannyasis in Mayapur in the philosophy of these Sampradayas. And he used to train Mayapur the philosophy of these other Sampradayas. Should we do that also? Should we get some teachers to tell us how to understand these philosophies? So the Gurudev is asking, what is the need? He said that we should know all these things deeply. So the Gurudev is telling, Srila Prabhupada did not have the same situation as nowadays. He taught and studied all the principles of all the different Vaishnava theories. And then he preached. But now books are available to us. The books are available. If you go to associate with other sampradayas and you are a Kanishta Adhikari, you will be deviated. This is the point actually. That you will be deviated. In Aprakat Lila, the devotee is asking, in Aprakat Lila, the pastimes in the transcendental realm, when the gopis and Krishna have their interactions. So then Srila Gurudev is telling, they have no need for Siddhanta. And gopis have no need of Siddhanta. Sometimes they mention something, they know all the 7 planetary systems, all the higher planetary systems. Sometimes they joke, sometimes they mention something. What are they saying is Siddhanta. But they don't explain Siddhanta. Siddhanta comes automatically in spiritual world. So Jayan Krishna is asking, I have one question. It is said that the seed of love of God, Braja Prem, came from Srila Madhavendra Puri. Does this mean that everybody before him was worshipping in Aishwarya Bhav and reverence as devotees worship Lakshmi and Narayan? There were Jaydev Goswami and Chandidas Vidyapati and the Alvars in the South India. They also mentioned the worship of Radha and Krishna and the gopis. So why do we say that the seed came from Madhavendra Puri? So the Guru is telling, can you answer? Vidyapati and Chandidas were also in Madhuradas. Damodar Maharaj is telling, because Madhavendra Puri was related with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, therefore he could give it. So the Guru is telling, Srila Madhavendra Puripad has specifically dedicated his prayers to Radhika, especially these 2 shlokas. He Deva he Daita he Karunaika Sindho, he Krishna he Chapal he Bhuvanika Bandho, he Nath he Ramana he Nayana Virama, Kadana Bhavita Si Padam Drushorme. O my Lord, O dearest one, O only friend of the universe, O Krishna, O restless one, O ocean of mercy, O my Lord, O my enjoyer, O beloved to my eyes, alas, when will you again be visible to me? Text 40 of Sri Bilongal Thakur's Krishna Karanamrita. Ai Dina Dayarda Nathe Mathura Anatha Kada Valokya Se Hrudayam Tad Alokakatram Daita Brahmeti Kim Karomyam. O my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, where shall I see you again? Because of you, my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now? Caitanya Caritamrta, Madhya Lila 4.197. Why Mathura Nath? Jayan Krishna Prabhu is telling, Krishna has gone to Mathura. Srila Gurudev is telling, what is Radhika thinking now? Jayan Krishna Prabhu is answering, now you have become the Lord of Mathura, you are not coming back. Srila Gurudev is telling, you can see all these moods of Radhika in Brahmara Gita. So the conception of these moods existed before. It exists now and it will exist in the future also. In this world, in this kalpa, you can say something came from and was manifested by Madhavendra Puripad, but it existed before. It exists always. It is transcendental. Srila Jaydev Goswami lived long before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When it was revealed to him in trance, Sri Krishna was pressing his head on the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika. He feared to write it. The sprout of the conception was there in Madhavendra Puripad. But after Sriman Mahaprabhu, it was manifested in Rupa Goswami and others. They wrote more than this without hesitation. They have written so many pastimes and prayers full with these ideas. Madhavendra Puri is called Prema Kalpataru Ankur, the sprout of the desire tree of Prema Bhakti. Now Padmanabh Maharaj is telling, does that mean that then that Madhavendra Puri was the first person in our sampradaya to begin to taste these moods and maybe Jayadeva and Vidyapati did not test them. The Gurudev is telling they were testing, but it has been told that there was sometimes fear. There was no pure Parakya moods at that time. They are fearing. Atul Krishnadas. So Gurudev, you say that we should give respect to other sampradayas, and yet you are discussing some things that are different in their philosophical understanding. In Sadhya, the goal, the sadhana, devotional process to attain the goal, they are sometimes quite different, and especially in Rasa Vichar. Srila Gurudev, no, in Sadhya, they are not different. Devotee, but in Ramanuja Sampradaya, Ramanuja's line, they will say that no one can go higher than Hanumanji. Srila Gurudev, Lord Krishna and Lord Narayan are the same tattva. There is no difference. There is only some speciality. They also accept bhakti. They all accept Vishnu tattva. But there is some gradation in Vishnu tattva. We should honor the four Vaishnava Sampradayas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did so. Theirs is Shuddha Bhakti, pure Bhakti, but not Shuddha Tara Bhakti, more pure, or Vishuddha, most pure. All are Shuddha, all are Purna, complete, but not Purnatar, more complete, and Purnatama, most complete. There is some speciality. Devotee, I have a question. By studying the scriptures, we understand that Guru is the manifestation of Lord Krishna's mercy. But is Guru Tattva and Shakti Tattva the same, or can Guru also be a Jiva? So Gurudev, Guru is not different from Krishna. Actually, Shri Krishna's entire mercy, condensed mercy is Gurudev. So, devotee, so Gurudev is not a Jiva. So Gurudev is telling, yes, he may be a Jiva. However, when he is perfect by sadhan, there is no difference between him and they all be called parikars or machines. So no more Jiva. Hare Krishna. So this is very nice discussion going on. So devotee, no Jiva. They will not be Jiva. They will still be Jivas from one point of view. From here we can say they are Jivas, but then they will not. All are considered associates. You cannot understand without chanting more, being dedicated to Gurudev, giving your whole energy, being loyal to Gurudev and taking him as good as Krishna. Satya Dharitva. When you realize everything and then you can say, Gauramanande. So very nice discussion. We should not worry about anything. This is very nicely and chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Dandavat Prams. I will send you now the email and the password.
Please.
You can log on. Thank you, dear devotees, for attending today, and we'll see you all tomorrow on the new link at 12 p.m. South African time for Sripad Bhakti-Vidanta Vishnu Dandi Maharaj to continue the Kartik, and then we will see you all on Sunday with Sripad Bhakti-Vidanta Dandi Maharaj again in the morning at 12:30 India time, and in the evening 8:30 with Sripad Bhakti-Vidanta Vishnu Daivata Maharaj. Thank you all for attending. Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Hare Krishna. Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.